It started with a whisper I almost didn't hear. A quiet warning from the flight attendant as she leaned close, words that would change everything. "You need to get off this plane. Now." At first, I thought she'd mistaken me for someone else. But the stares, the murmurs, the sudden shift in energy told me otherwise. I could feel it, the weight of judgment pressing in, invisible yet suffocating. All I wanted was to go home, but in that moment, I became the problem everyone wanted to remove. What could make a simple flight turn into a silent battle for dignity? Maya Thompson had always believed that hard work could silence doubt. At 28, she'd climbed from an unpaid internship to managing international accounts, a quiet triumph she rarely celebrated. That morning, she boarded the plane with her usual precision. Early arrival, neatly folded blazer, seat by the window. Outside, the runway shimmered beneath the sun, a reflection of everything she'd built through perseverance and calm resilience. As the plane filled, Maya noticed the subtle shifts, the curious GLA. The first sign came when a man across the aisle called the attendant over, whispering something while pointing discreetly in Maya's direction. She caught fragments, wrong seat, acting strange, but couldn't piece it together. Moments later, another attendant approached, asking to verify her boarding pass. Maya complied, smiling politely, though her hands trembled slightly as she retrieved it from her bag. She'd flown countless times before, always prepared, always professional. But this time, the energy was different. Quiet judgment, disguised as procedure. The attendant's smile was tight, rehearsed. "Just a routine check," she said, though her eyes flickered with something Maya couldn't quite name. Fear, maybe, or discomfort. As she walked away, Maya felt the weight of eyes pressing into her back. She turned toward the window, pretending to study the runway, her reflection staring back at her, composed but cracking beneath the surface. Minutes passed. Then came another interruption. A man in uniform, tall and expressionless, leaned down and asked her to confirm her name. Maya's voice barely broke the hum of the cabin. He nodded, muttered into his radio, then walked off. The whispers around her grew louder, but no one met her eyes. It wasn't chaos, it was silence sharpened into accusation. Her thoughts raced. Did I miss something? Was there a mix-up? The rational part of her mind clung to logic, but deep down, she knew. This wasn't about a mistake. It was about her. About how she looked, about what some passengers decided she must be. When the flight attendant returned, her tone had changed. The warmth was gone. "Ma'am, could you please step off the plane for a quick security review?" she said, voice polite but final. Maya felt her heart sink. Around her, people shifted in their seats, some curious, some relieved it wasn't them. She stayed seated, voice calm but firm. "I've done nothing wrong," she said quietly, not as defiance, but as truth. The attendant's smile faltered. She leaned closer, whispering the same words from before. Words meant to protect, or to erase. "You have to get off this plane now." Maya's pulse roared in her ears. Every instinct screamed to comply, to avoid escalation. But something deeper told her to stay. To not vanish quietly. Not again. The air thickened, every second stretching longer than the last. Passengers stared, waiting for the show to continue, for the problem to be removed. And Maya sat still, every muscle tense, every heartbeat a quiet act of resistance. Outside the cabin door, shadows gathered, uniforms, authority, control. Inside, silence reigned, heavy and suffocating. And for the first time, Maya realized this wasn't just about her seat. It was about her place in a world still uneasy with her presence. The cabin door opened with a sharp hiss, and two security officers stepped inside. The murmurs stopped instantly. Every eye turned toward Maya, the way crowds look at someone who's already been judged. One of the officers gestured toward her seat, voice steady but impersonal. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." No explanation, no accusation. Just quiet authority that dared her to question it. Maya's throat tightened. Her fingers gripped the armrest, not in rebellion but in disbelief. She'd done nothing wrong. No policy broken, no disturbance caused. Yet somehow she had become the threat. The attendant stood a few rows back, eyes lowered, as if disassociating from the scene unfolding before her. As Maya stood, her heart pounded so hard it felt like the whole plane could hear it. The aisle stretched endlessly, lined with silent spectators, businessmen averting their gaze, mothers holding their children closer, faces turning away to avoid discomfort. Each step forward felt like surrendering another piece of her dignity. When she reached the front, one officer placed a hand near her shoulder, not touching, but close enough to remind her who held control. Through the open cabin door, the harsh sunlight poured in, white and blinding. Cameras caught flashes, phones lifted by passengers who couldn't resist recording the spectacle. Outside, the air was hot and heavy. Maya could hear her own breathing shallow and unsteady, as the officers guided her toward the terminal. No one explained. No one apologized. And in that silence, she understood the truth she'd tried to ignore all her life. No title, no achievement, no calm tone could protect her from what some people saw first. She looked back once, the faces pressed to the cabin windows, still watching. And then the door sealed shut behind her, leaving only the echo of what had just been taken from her.
Hours later, Maya sat in a quiet airport lounge, still trying to steady her breathing. No one had offered her an apology, just vague explanations about passenger safety and procedural misunderstandings. The flight had already departed without her. Her presentation, the one she'd worked months to perfect, would now be given by someone else. But the real loss wasn't the meeting. It was the invisible wound left behind. The reminder that no amount of grace or professionalism could shield her from prejudice wrapped in politeness. She replayed the moment again and again. The stares, the whispers, the quiet compliance of those who said nothing. That silence haunted her more than the officer's presence. Because silence was permission. And permission was how injustice survived in plain sight. Later that week, the story went viral. The footage from the plane, her calm voice, her refusal to be erased, spread across timelines, sparking outrage and disbelief. Some defended her, others dismissed it, but Maya stayed quiet. She didn't need to speak. The world had already seen what it needed to. Yet beneath the noise and hashtags, Maya felt something shift. She realized that her humiliation had become something larger. A mirror reflecting how easily dignity could be stripped from someone who looked like her. She hadn't chosen to be a symbol, but maybe that was the point. Because what happened to her wasn't rare. It was just recorded. And maybe that's why the question lingered long after the headlines faded. How many others have been asked to get off? Not just planes, but opportunities, dreams, and spaces they've earned a right to occupy? Maybe it's time we stopped whispering and started listening.